Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up today, 3 chances to win fantabulous prizes, and Katie Wilson claims Seattle is ready to go for the World Cup, but I beg to differ. Before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
There were 2 elections in Kentucky last night. And depending on which one you were following depends on where you were following it. There was the actual election, the people of Kentucky's 4th congressional district that were voting whether or not to send somebody to Congress who had been there for a while or somebody new. And then there was the online battle. And these are 2 very different elections. I don't live in the Kentucky 4th. I've never been to the Kentucky 4th. But you know what really ticks me off? When people comment about Seattle who don't live in Seattle and quickly show they have no idea what they're talking about. The other day, I was listening to a podcast. I'm not going to say whose because I happen to like this podcast very, very much. But I'm listening to a podcast. It's a national one. It's a one with a big name. And they have a round table, and they're all discussing Katie Wilson. And they're using the go-to talking points about socialists and this. And then they pivot over to, she's a mini Mom Donnie, and it's all because of Mom Donnie. And I'm like, you people have no idea what you're talking about. We've been electing socialists here for years. In fact, Fox News had me on a couple times to say, talk about how she's the mini Mom Donnie. I'm like, she's not. We had Shama Sawant before that. We have all these other socialists throughout the entire government. We have Sean Scott. We have all these other people. It all predated her. So don't tell me she's the mini Mom Donnie.
Yeah, we're the innovators
exactly.
Here. Okay, New York?
Right. We do things worse before you guys get it. We did that stupid bail reform before New York adopted it. The bad ideas start here.
Next thing you know, they're going to be talking about how they're spending money on waxing trans people in jails in New York. And we're like, yeah, I know.
We're the OGs of that.
We innovate.
Exactly. We're number one. Number one. Don't make us number 2. That's what we have on our streets. Oh, wait, that's San Francisco that's known for the number 2s on the streets.
We've had plenty.
I'm not saying we don't. I'm just saying we don't have a map of it, to my knowledge.
That's San Francisco going, no, we're the innovators of that. Seattle?
Right. Somebody's listening to the show right now. Hoffman, you shut up. You're literally doing what you said those other guys are doing. So I don't know anything about the Kentucky 4th. I don't live there. I've never been there. I don't plan on going there. It's a big rural district. But I do know that there are issues that affect locally that people are voting on. And then there's how everybody wants to spin this on the interwebs. What am I talking about? Of course, I'm talking about Tom Massie. Now, when he lost the primary yesterday by 10 points, that's huge, by the way. That is really, really huge. You ask yourself, if you look at the polling, how does a guy go from 75% approval and support to 45%? How does it change that drastically? Now, if you're too online, it's the Jews, the Jews. And this reminds me of an old Jewish joke. So 2 Jewish guys walk over to their friend who's sitting on a park bench, and he's reading a copy of Der Stürmer, the Nazi magazine. And they say, why are you reading that? It's Nazi propaganda. And he says, all the other newspapers talk about how Jews are being assaulted, Jews are being attacked, Jews are being killed. When I read this one, Jews run Hollywood, Jews run the media, they control the banks, they run the world. It's all good news. It's all good news for us. And that's what I'm thinking of reading this insanity online. We'll get to the online in a second. A lot of people like Tom Massie because for years they saw him as the no vote. Okay. I get you want somebody who says they're going to be against big government. They're going to be against out-of-control spending. They're going to be against foreign wars. But did he accomplish anything? I looked up his legislative record to see if he actually had his name on any legislation at all. Hang on, let me just put this into the Google machine here. Let me see here. What do we got? So he's been there, reelected many times since 2012, and he hasn't accomplished anything. When you are in a body of government with hundreds of people, you're not always going to get what you want. It's nice that you stand on principles, but if you want to get some of those principles advanced, you have to work with some people. You have to make compromises. Does that suck? Absolutely. But if you want some of those things enacted, just being the no vote all the time, you're eventually going to lose the support of your own party. Look at Rand Paul for a minute. You can compare Rand Paul in the Senate to Tom Massie. I looked up Rand Paul's legislative record just to compare the two. He's got his name on a bunch of stuff. He works with the other side. Does he vote against giant omnibus spending? Yes. Does he vote against new wars? Yes. But when there's a bipartisan thing condemning some Jews getting killed in Washington, D.C., he votes yes. When there's procedural things that make sure the water keeps running, he votes yes. Tom Massie always votes no. Tom Massie hasn't actually accomplished anything. I went through the legislative record and all his big things. It's just I stood against this. You know what he voted against? He voted against a procedural vote that would have advanced the SAVE Act. So the guy who keeps talking about how he's going to protect voter integrity voted against a procedural vote. He voted with the Democrats to stop the procedural vote on the SAVE Act. I know a lot of you think he's some kind of hero, and that's fine. We're allowed to agree to disagree on this one, but tell me why? Because I don't see him actually accomplishing anything. And for the people in his district, a district that went overwhelmingly for President Trump, this is a guy who for the last year and a half has been doing everything he can to oppose President Trump. It's political suicide in a bright red district like the Kentucky 4th. That's why he lost the election. Races are local. What have you done for our district? How have you helped our district? Our district likes President Trump. Do you like President Trump? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. In fact, Harry Enton, who is over at CNN, but does amazing polling work, we cite him all the time, he pointed this out.
Wasn't surprised at all, because the bottom line is this. Donald Trump is the general of the Republican Party, and the Republican primary voters are his soldiers. And if you look at Thomas Massie, you can see it very clearly. You look in 2020, 2022, 2024, he was getting 75%, upwards of 81% of the primary vote in 2020. And today, he gets less than 50% of the vote. That's the story.
That is incredible, because you look at it so consistent time after time after time, and then, wow, look
Boom.
at tonight.
So
Donald
what
Trump.
changed? What changed? Ted Cruz was on Sean Hannity's show last night. Here's what he said.
Yeah, look, Sean, that's clearly right. If you vote no 100% of the time, that's a problem. If you vote with the Democrats almost 100% of the time, that's a problem. You know, we've got exceptionally slim majorities in the House and Senate. I will say in the past year, with President Trump in the White House, with the Republican Senate, with the Republican House, we have accomplished more in the past year than in any year since you and I have been alive. And I have no time for people that just say, no, I don't want to do anything. The stakes are too high. We're not screwing around. This is not a game. If you want to just criticize everything, go write an op-ed online. Go write a blog online. But if you're going to take a congressional seat, if you're going to have a vote, particularly if we had a 250-vote majority in the House, fine, you could vote no, it doesn't matter. But with the excruciatingly narrow vote, we can't mess around with this. We've got to deliver real results. And the message that I had to my colleagues over and over again, the message, look, I've spent a decade as President Trump's strongest ally in the Senate. And I'm focused on working with the president to deliver real results. And if you're not focused on that, that's a real problem.
Now, here's the other thing on top of that. Ted Cruz has had his fights with President Trump. We all know this. They ran against each other in 2016. But he's 100% right. All the wins this administration has had, Tom Massie was a no vote on every single one. Every single one. This has nothing to do with Israel. For those of you who claim this is about Tom Massie getting outspent, there is a weird statistic going on online. For those of you who live in the online world, $30 million were poured into this race by AIPAC. AIPAC, move this race. Okay, guys, I looked up the actual numbers. $30 million total was spent on the race from both Tom Massie and his challenger. In fact, Tom Massie's campaign outspent his challenger by a few $1 million, raised a few more $1 million. In the PACs supporting his challenger, who, by the way, is a former Navy SEAL and not Jewish, so let's just put that all to bed right now. They outspent Tom Massie's PACs by a few $1 million. So claiming $30 million was dropped into this race, yeah, that's total. That's not from one side or the other. These are talking points. And last night, I put up a post announcing that Tom Massie had lost at the end of my show yesterday. And it's like the bots were programmed to come out of the woodwork and attack. It's basically like the algorithm says, is this for or against Tom Massie? So the bots are going to support you if you're for him. The bots are going to attack you if you're against him. How do I know they're bots? On Twitter, every account, and you can go look at it for yourself at The Hoffather, every account that got mad at me, some anonymous, no name, random profile picture with like 10 or 40 followers or something like that. These are not real people. They're not. Some of the Facebook comments, some of them are real people, but a lot of them are these random accounts of people I've never interacted with before in my life who are now attacking me online because of the Tom Massie thing, spewing the same old talking points. Oh, it's because of Israel. Tom Massie made a choice. About a year and a half ago, President Trump attacked Tom Massie for always voting no. Tom Massie could have said, how do I work together with President Trump? How do I turn this around? Instead, he said, let's do the Tucker Carlson thing. Let's blame the Jews. Let's do that. And that's what Tom Massie did. It seemed like he took a page right out of the Podcast First crew and said, let's do a Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Megyn Kelly, and Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks and Anna Kasparian and all the rest of them, which interestingly enough, they're all on different sides, allegedly, of the political spectrum, but yet they're all agreeing. And today, they're all talking about how great Tom Massie was. And before the election, they're all talking about how great Tom Massie was. Not because he went against Trump, but because he's against Jews, because he's against Israel. So he decided, hey, I can get a ton of clicks, I can get a ton of bots, and if my political career is going to be over, I can go fix things with Trump. I could go make them right. We could find ways to work together. Or I could just be the no. Now, what's crazy about this, Tom Massie was running ads in his district talking about how he and Trump worked together to deliver results for America, and the job isn't done yet. So him and President Trump need to work together. This is a guy who voted no on everything, literally everything in Trump's agenda. So he's running those ads. And meanwhile, online, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. Now, what's fascinating is what he said during his concession speech last night. Here's where he went with that.
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Galrein in Tel Aviv.
Really, dude? Completely classless. So, you think those bots vote? Well, we learned last night the bots don't vote because the Tucker Carlsons, Tom Massie's of the world, every candidate they were backing lost. Every Trump-endorsed candidate won. Bots don't vote. I remember a while ago when I was running for office, felt really good being on Fox News all the time. Fox News was calling me for everything. City council candidate Ari Hoffman's joining us to weigh in on the crazy of Seattle. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Getting all this national attention. Got me a few dollars donated nationally. Does it get you any votes in Seattle, Washington when you're running for the Seattle City Council? No, it doesn't. Same thing with the online stuff. The online stuff, they can't vote in your district. So all these bots yelling at me from Pakistan or Gaza or wherever the hell they're yelling at me from, they're not going to help Tom Massie in the Kentucky 4th or any of the other races that happened last night. It seems like Tom Massie made a calculation in his head. And it seems like the calculation was, well, do I fix things with Trump or do I go start a podcast? And he said, well, if I'm going to go out, let me go out in a blaze of glory and get all the same followers that Joe Kent got, that Megyn Kelly got, that Tucker Carlson got, that Nick Fuentes got, that Cenk Wager got, that Anna Kasparian got. And then afterwards, I can go do a podcast. And then I'll just be sitting in the dough and I'll have some speaker fees and I'll go speak for a bunch of these organizations and I'll be set. And I'll be set. And that looks like that's the calculation he made. The calculation was never, how can I work to make America better? How can I further the agenda that can help Republicans, that can help libertarians, that can help the average American? It was all about Tom Massie, just Tom Massie. And here's the other thing most of you know. You didn't know who Tom Massie was until recently. Most of you had no clue who this guy was. He decided to make his personality about the Jews, about Israel. He literally was taking pictures during his campaign with actual neo-Nazis. How long until he's hanging out with Hassan Piker and all the other Democrats? Because they're the ones supporting him right now. None of this online nonsense helped him in the Kentucky 4th. None of it. And I know some of you out there really like Tom Massie because you think he stood on his principles. Fine. Did he get anything accomplished? Go look at his legislative record, and you're going to see that he didn't. So how did he advance those principles you claim he was fighting for? And here's something else. Pushing the Epstein conspiracy nonsense. So basically what he's doing is the Tucker Carlson move. He's going to attack Donald Trump by saying, we got to get into the Epstein files and we got to see what's really, really in there. Well, you know what's entertaining? Don Bongino said on his show earlier today that while he was at the FBI, he said to Tom Massie, come here. I'm going to show you the files. There's no there. And yet Tom Massie refused.
However, when I got up there in that position, I could not believe what a fraud this guy was. I mean, like an epic level fraud. Whatever you think of this guy, I'm telling you, I have no dog in the fight. I supported him. He is an absolute fraud. Fraud. He decided to do some money bomb thing and just completely BSing people about my record there, just lying to your face. I tried multiple times to get this guy to come over to give him a briefing on a case he kept bloviating about on Twitter, causing a serious problem, by the way. And I thought he believed in due process. He's supposedly a libertarian. He wants to try a case on X. And he didn't do it. I was there from March until January of this year. You know how many times he came over to visit and ask about these cases despite multiple offers, cases he kept bloviating about where we could have actually told him? 0. And there's nothing he's going to tell you. All of his BS responses, his fake community notes, it's all a distraction from the fact that he doesn't want to admit that he was offered a detailed briefing within certain parameters on these matters he's bloviating about on X in order to attack President Trump and others and due process. Could have cleared it up for him right away, and he just didn't want to do it because he preferred to be stupid.
Exactly. And who did he team up with on this insanity? Ro Khanna, one of the squad members. He teamed up with Ro Khanna, Ro Khanna's agenda is smearing President Trump. If the Democrats had Trump dead to rights in the Epstein files, don't you think they would have released him a long time ago? They prosecuted everybody they could in the Trump administration. They charged him with how many different charges trying to get him? Oh, we got you this time. Didn't do it. Tom Massie was party to all of that without naming Trump, and then his campaign ads saying, I love Trump. This is what I'm doing. Me and Trump are working together, even though he voted no on everything about the agenda. I have no problem with you calling out the president. I do it all the time. We have a segment on this show when the right gets it wrong, and he is a regular character on it. But when there are things that will push your agenda, push your policies, why aren't you supporting those? When there are non-binding resolutions that call out injustice, why aren't you supporting those? When there are bills to keep the water running or the military going, why aren't you supporting those? He accomplished nothing. He'll be remembered if he has some kind of podcast, because that'll keep his name out there. He's not going to be remembered for his legislative agenda because he doesn't have one. You agree with me, you disagree with me. You give me a call or a text on the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up next, your calls and your texts. Plus, Seattle's socialist mayor Katie Wilson says the city is ready for the World Cup. I beg to differ. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show. Before we get to all the third World Cup insanity, just want to remind everybody that we have 3 chances for you to win fantabulous prizes today. During the show, 3 times I will mention a key word, and you will win, or you have the chance to win, a pair of tickets to Bingo Loco at the Snoqualmie Casino, which is bingo on steroids, with a lot of DJs, confetti, you name it, prizes, spectacular. It's insane. Go look at the videos online. So make sure you're listening throughout the show for your chance to win. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Dan in Maple Valley. Dan, what's going on?
Hi, Ari. Great to hear from you again. Hey, a couple of things. President Trump's on a roll. Hopefully that'll keep firing up the Republicans. And the second thing I wanted to say is I really, really appreciate your efforts in getting out there and getting signatures for the initiatives. That's awesome.
Thank you. Hopefully we're going to have some more this weekend. I haven't gotten the details on when and where yet, but when I get them, I'll let everybody know.
Okay. The one thing that I really wanted to say this morning, I think it was on X, that George Soros' foundation is pouring $300 million into the United States that he usually puts into Africa and everywhere else to try and beat Republicans this year. We need to stand up and fight.
If you see that, do me a favor, email it over to me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I want to see where he's actually pouring this money in. So if you see that again, send it over to me, ari@kvi.com, all right?
Yeah, it was through his foundation. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was early this morning.
It wouldn't surprise me. These are the same guys who are funding all the insanity on campuses, the same guys who fund all these far-left prosecutors who don't prosecute crime. Dan, appreciate the call, appreciate the kind words, appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Did you know that certain kinds of Iranian flags are banned from the World Cup here in Seattle? So wait a second. I'm thinking to myself, oh, the IRGC, the terrorist, the Ayatollah, the guy who's killed all these people, let's ban that flag. Nope. You know which flag is banned? The one of the pre-revolution Iran. The one of the Shah. Now, here's how you know the difference. There are 2 Iranian flags. The one of the Shah, the pre-Iranian revolution, has a lion on it. The other one, which is the IRGC, has this wreath-shaped thing on it. Same colors, same stripes. One has the lion. The way you remember the lion, Ari in Hebrew is lion. Lions are good. Okay? The other thing, that's bad. So apparently the lion flag, the pre-revolutionary flag, is banned from Lumen Field or Seattle Stadium, whatever they're calling it now, for the World Cup. You can't bring that in. You can only bring in the flag of the Ayatollah because that flag is approved as an official FIFA country, as an official FIFA World Cup participant, which is entertaining to me. The Athletic reported this. That's the New York Times. They're the ones talking about this, which is cracking me up. So the other day I'm driving home in my Dodge Charger 6-pack that I got from my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. And I noticed somebody has repaired the flag, the IRGC flag that's on the columns of the monorail. So the monorail, in the lead up to the World Cup, they've been adding these flags of all the countries that are playing here in Seattle. Nice. But then you put up the Ayatollah's flag, the IRGC flag, the one that's killed over 1,000 Americans and God knows how many other people. It's a terrorist organization. It's there. Some people haven't been so happy about this. I keep seeing it in some of the Iranian groups I'm in around here, and the Iranian groups meaning the ones who want to overthrow the Ayatollah and want to make sure that they have freedom in Iran. Those guys, somebody keeps defacing this thing, and I drive that route pretty regularly, and I notice it keeps getting defaced and keeps getting repaired. Now, it was defaced for a while, and I said, oh, maybe they gave up. Maybe they're done with this. Yeah, it got repaired again. So I put in a request for comment to the Seattle monorail. Who's paying for this? Because if it's Seattle, do you guys want to do something about the graffiti in my neighborhood or the graffiti on the freeways or the graffiti anywhere else? But you guys are spending your time on the stupid flag of a terrorist group? That's what you're spending your time on? Katie Wilson. Katie Wilson put out a blog post yesterday, and it is... Okay, I'm not into fashion. She needs a fashion consultant. She just does. I'm sorry. She needs a hairstylist and a fashion consultant. I'm sorry. I know that's mean. I know that's rude. She needs it badly.
Coming from you.
Coming from me. We all know how I dress. I only work in black and sometimes very, very, very dark gray.
Yeah.
And my hair is a mess every day, and I'm unshaven all the time, and I got hair poking out everywhere, and I'm a little overweight.
And
we can all
you're
agree
giving
with this.
out fashion advice.
That's how bad this is, man. She's dressed like a communist, so maybe she's on brand. But she's wearing these baggy pants, these shoes that look like my rabbi in high school used to wear, and this button-down shirt, and trying to put a soccer ball on her knee in this picture. It's not flattering. It looks staged. It doesn't look like you play soccer. Plus, it's on a city hall, I think, balcony overlooking the rest of the city. Everybody thinks this picture is staged. But it says we're 27 days from FIFA, and Seattle is ready. Are they now? How is Seattle ready? Just over the last 5 days, shooting, crime, homeless, stabbing, RVs spontaneously combusting. I forgot. Oh, wait a second. It's not RV spontaneous combustion season. That's the winter usually, not the summer. Why are they spontaneously combusting now? No. Maybe that one little corridor between the hotels and the stadiums, maybe there, Seattle might be ready. Not the rest of the city. And this is what I'm worried about. So you know what I think I'm going to do? I have to leave early anyway. Any day where the World Cup is happening to get to the studio on time. Traffic's going to be insane. I think I'll just do doom loop tours. I think what I'm going to do is just as I'm coming in, driving my Charger that I got from my friends over at Renton Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, I think what I'm going to do is I will make sure I bring somebody with me so I'm not using my phone while I'm driving. But I will have somebody film the areas I go through. And when they say, we're a world-class city, I'm going to say, you're a third world-class city. This is the insanity that's actually in Seattle. Do you think Seattle is ready for the third World Cup? Or as we like to call it around here, the Turd World Cup? Give us a call or a text, 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Speaking of the third world, are we about to go to war with Cuba? When we come back, my friends, we'll tell you about what the Justice Department did today, what the State Department did today, and what I'm worried President Trump might do next. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. getting a lot of feedback on Tom Massie from the text line. And everybody's allowed to have their opinions on this. This one here from the other Mike in Everett. Hey, Ari, Massie and a few other Republicans are the picture definition of rhino, in my opinion. Well, right now I can't tell the difference between the radical left and Tom Massie. Seems like a real horseshoe theory situation there. This one here from the 425. Well, when will the prosperity come home to boom in America? Not going to disagree with you there. I'm not a big fan of tariffs. And I say finish the job in Iran now so we can end this gas price nonsense. Prices can fall through the floor. I'm not disagreeing with you, 425. See? Right there. I disagreed with the president, but I did it politely. I would love to be in a room and discuss the Iran strategy with him, but I don't have top secret clearance. I would love to do that. This one here, L. Darthbo is in a quandary, he says. He says, you have made a good case against Thomas Massie, which I tend to go along with, but there's a fellow KVI host, for all intents and purposes, is virtually in love with Tom Massie. Would that be Lars or would that be somebody else, L. Darthbo? Tell me who it is. That doesn't sound like Lars. I don't think it's Lars. If it is Lars and I can duke it out on Fridays when we do that every week. We could discuss Tom Massie.
It would either be Lars, it would either be Kilmeade, or it would either be Levin.
It's not Levin.
I know for sure it's not
Levin.
Right?
Right.
Because I'm trying to think of single hosts. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, maybe one of those guys, but they don't really take hard stands on stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. It Kilmeade? It's not Kilmeade.
I don't think so.
Is it? All right, L. Darthbo, you got to be more specific, man. You got to tell me who you're talking about. And you know what? The beautiful thing about working at KVI, we can reach out to these guys and say, hey, your Seattle affiliate would like to have a little discussion with you about this. I'm happy to have that conversation.
Is it Kirby? Is it John? Is it a former one? Is it a
I don't know.
I'm curious.
We'll have to reach out and find out who
someone
it is.
on the weekends?
Yeah.
That,
So, Darthbo, just give us a text and tell us who you're talking about. Really, just let us know. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take a call from Kenneth in Whidbey Island. Kenneth, what's going on?
Well, Ari, just to back up a little bit, a year ago I called you in regards to one of these protesters that approached me, thought I was going to get killed with that stick when she ran after me, if you may remember that conversation.
Okay.
Okay. Well, their protesters are still there on that main intersection of 525 and Bayview Road. Now, every Saturday they are there. They have the Iranian flag and the Palestinian flag. But they took the American flag, and it's a big one. They took the Stars and Stripe out, and on one side put the Palestinian and the Iranian in place of the Stars and the Stripes.
Ken, can you do me a favor? If it's safe, and only if it's safe, and not if you're driving, can you do me a favor and get me a picture of that? Because that kind of gives away the game of what they want there, don't you think?
Sure.
Yeah. Do me a favor. Send that on over to me.
I will do it if I can do it, but I want to be honest. I'm afraid of them, and when I did pull in even one time here about 2 weeks ago, my wife was petrified.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that, Ken. Okay? I mean, like, take a picture. You can take it from a distance. Have you drive the car. Wife takes the picture. Don't go anywhere near them, or tell me where to find them. Email me, ari@kvi.com, exactly where these guys are. And is this on Whidbey Island, or is this somewhere else?
No, it's on Whidbey Island and 525 and Bayview Road, and they're there every Saturday from 9 or from 10 until 12 o'clock. Every Saturday.
Any of our listeners on Whidbey Island who feel comfortable safely getting a picture of this for us, please let us know. We'd like to see it. Appreciate the call, Ken. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Well, the U.S. Justice Department announced today the unsealing of a superseding indictment charging Raul Castro, who is 94 years old, along with a whole bunch of his henchmen, for the alleged roles in the February 24th, 1996 shootdown of two unarmed U.S. civilian aircraft operated by Brothers to the Rescue, also known as Hermanos El Rescate, over international waters. Quote, over 3 decades later, we are committed to holding those accountable for the murders of 4 brave Americans, Carlos Costa, Armando Alejandro Jr., Maria de la Peña, and Pablo Morales, said Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. For the first time in nearly 70 years, senior leadership of the Cuban regime has been charging the U.S. for alleged acts of violence resulting in the deaths of American citizens. President Trump and this Justice Department are committed to restoring a simple principle. If you kill Americans, we will pursue you, no matter who you are, no matter what title you hold. Now, does this mean that the U.S. is gearing up to do another Venezuelan Maduro-style operation and just, hey, let's go get Castro. Let's go get him. Let's bring him here. And then they can stop being communists. I mean, it seems to be working out a little bit in Venezuela. We got their oil. Cuba doesn't really have anything we want unless you're on a really, really old 57 Chevy. Unless you really want that has like a boat motor in it. Oh, maybe there's some classic cars there. I don't know. Oh, right, the cigars. Right, people want the cigars. So I'll say is that, do you think that's what the Trump administration is about to do? Let's go get that 94-year-old man. They're not going to fight back anyway. We're tired of negotiating with Cuba. Now, look, Castro deserves to face justice for what he did. His henchmen deserve to face justice for what they did. 1,000%. But do you think there's something else going on here? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Up here from the 818 regarding Massie, I listened to the morning trio, Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, and they are definitely not a fan of Massie. So, okay. And here, see, everybody here, definitely not Markley, Van Camp, or Robbins. Okay. So, guys, tell me who it is. Tell me who it is. And we will have him on the show, and we will have a discussion or debate about Tom Massie. Up next, my friends, is Seattle going to become a sanctuary city for trans? I got to say, I thought we were already. But apparently there's a movement underway to make this actually happen. Give you all details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Did you know there's a refugee crisis in Seattle? Yeah, I didn't know this either. They're not talking about the illegal aliens. They're talking about transgender individuals. I was very confused when I saw this press release. Seattle transgender supporting organizations hold rally on proposed emergency refugee declaration. So I assumed, oh, we're going to be fighting ICE this weekend. Is that what it is? We're going to be advocating on behalf of illegal aliens. Nope. On Saturday, May 23rd, 2026, Seattle-based transgender organizations Mantis. Is that the bad guy in the Aquaman movie? The Mantis? The Black Mantis? Now, this is racist, guys. You remove the black from the title. That's just plain racist. I think you guys are anti-Black Mantis. I think that's what's going on here. The Network for Trans and Intersex Individuals in Seattle. Oh, excuse me, I got their acronym wrong. Mutual Aid Network for Trans and Intersex Individuals in Seattle, which means Trans Tifa. That's who this is. Along with transgender supporting organizations GEM. You mean that girl from the comic books and the cartoons in the 80s? That's GEM, right? Okay, just making sure. The Gender Equity Movement and Moto Hooligan Moto Hooligan Community Support Squad. These guys are actual Antifa with guns. They're trans Tifa with guns. Wow. Are rallying to demand Mayor Wilson declare a civil emergency regarding the current and incoming transgender refugee crisis. As the national political climate intensifies, new legislation and federal actions targeting transgender people have led to tens of thousands of refugees fleeing to Seattle. Time out. So then you guys should be happy. The millionaires are fleeing Seattle, and the trans people can come buy their houses. Right? We don't have a crisis. You have 33% office vacancy rate in downtown Seattle. You have double the amount of houses that are on the market, as usually are this time of year, because everybody's leaving for the income tax. Problem solved. Just sell them those gajillion-dollar houses. No, that's not you want free stuff. You want free stuff. Also, something else. Kevin, have you seen an uptick on people on the light rail? Have you seen an uptick in traffic around here? Have you seen an uptick in people at anything around here? If tens of thousands of people are coming here every day, regardless if they're trans or not, I think I would have noticed that, right? Do you see an uptick in anybody coming here?
I don't know. Look, it's not like I'm downtown all the time, but
you're here every day.
I don't hang around. I don't walk down the street. I don't, I drive through.
Sure.
It's not like, when people come here, they're going to be like walking the street of Denny. Like, when there's a concert, there's a ton of people here. When there's a game, there's a ton of people. When I typically ride the train,
yeah,
it's usually around a game or something. There's a ton of people. I took the train a couple of times last week because I had some car stuff. It wasn't particularly packed. It wasn't empty, but it wasn't shoulder to shoulder.
Right. If tens of thousands of people are coming here, you would know it.
You would think so,
You would think so.
It's a pretty big spread out area.
So I drive downtown almost every day.
And I know we're talking specifically downtown, but
Seattle area. Okay, let me give you an example.
If you go up to Cap Hill, it's pretty. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people on the street up there.
It's funny because Saturday nights when my wife and I go there for drinks or something, I can find parking no problem.
Huh.
And I didn't used to have that issue. That availability, I would say. It used to be, holy cow, where am I going to park? I used to have to drop my wife off at whatever place we're going to, circle the block a few times to find parking. Not anymore. Here's another one for you. When I get on the freeway in the morning, I don't even have to wait for that light. That's the metered ramp. Because that sucker just turns green as soon as it senses a car because nobody's there.
Well, and mine's been a nightmare.
Because
the North Seattle and the shutdown of the express lanes because of all the work. It's a mess. So I don't know really how to gauge it. I mean, I did take a run down onto the waterfront after work the other day, and pretty lively.
There's people. There's cruise season. That cruise ship, where'd it go? There's always one that's leaving around here. You got that going on. But I'm not seeing tens of thousands of refugees, regardless of what kind of refugees they are coming here. Okay? Put it this way. I haven't seen an uptick in trans people around here. I just see the normal amount.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm just seeing the normal amount. So Mayor Katie Wilson is responding to this nonsense. She put up a statement from the LGBTQ Commission for a civil emergency. Is that going to work out like the homeless emergency? We got to address that real quick, too. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, including the factors that are causing more companies to leave Seattle. When we come back, you're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, Seattle's climate numbers suck. Can I have my gas tax money back because you guys didn't fix it? But before we get to any of that, it is your chance to win a pair of tickets to Bingo Loco at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Bingo Loco, interactive stage show, which takes the concept of bingo, switches it on its head by turning it into an immersive party featuring comedians, DJs, prizes, confetti, dance-offs, light shows, you name it. Now, if you want to get tickets to this, you go to snowcasino.com. That's SNO casino.com. Or you can enter for your chance to win. Today's word, when I give it to you, you text it to the number I give you, only text it to the number I give you, and only text the word. The word is winner, WINNER, as in we are looking for a winner for 2 tickets to go to Bingo Loco at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Text the word winner, WINNER, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. I really set off the people in the newsroom this morning. I was out there and they were talking about this new plan to redo Seattle Center and how, well, the infrastructure's aging and isn't it nice they're going to redo it and then they can bring some vibrancy to it and yeah, it'll be great. And of course, me being me, I chime in on our friends in the newsroom and I go, how are they going to pay for it, guys? Don't we have a budget crisis here in Seattle? Now, if they get private donors, I don't really have an issue with that. And they go, well, I mean, there's probably going to be a tax, probably going to be a levy. And I go, yeah, why? Why should we be paying for this? Why don't private donors pay for it? Aren't you guys the ones who got mad about the ballroom? Oh, that set them off. They were not happy when I mentioned that. When I compared it to the ballroom, I said, look, guys, this is going to save the government money long term. Because anytime President Trump has to go anywhere, or any president for that matter, you got to rent the location. You got to book X amount of floors. You got to bring the security with you. You got to bring the motorcade. You got to do all the things you got to do for a presidential visit. Now imagine every state dinner, every event we have is now in the ballroom at the White House. Doesn't that make a lot more sense? Oh, and did we mention that a lot of the ballroom is being paid for? And of course they come back with, well, what about the $1 billion? I go, well, there's aging infrastructure like the PIOC, the system underneath the White House and all these other security things, like the Situation Room, that need to be redone. No, that's not the same at all. You were just talking about aging infrastructure. Shouldn't we be redoing the aging infrastructure? They weren't happy with that. Let's talk about Seattle Center. For those of you who don't live in our area, Seattle Center is basically the #1 tourist spot when you come to Seattle. Where are the places you're going to go when you go to Seattle? Even somebody who's never been here before. You know the following. You know the Space Needle. We want to go to the Space Needle. I will tell you, the way they redid the Space Needle, beautiful, gorgeous. The glass floor that they added up there, beautiful, gorgeous. I miss the restaurant. And you're going to say, wait, Ari, you could eat at the restaurant? Had a kosher caterer that would bring food to the restaurant. You went there for special occasions. It was great. That was like, you go up there for the wedding anniversary or the birthday or something. I loved it. It was great. Okay, I can live without the restaurant, but I don't go there as often anymore. Anyway, Space Needle, lovely. Maybe you've heard of Pike Place Market. You want to go there. But if you want to go to the Space Needle, you got to go to Seattle Center. There's a big campus in the middle of Seattle. Well, it's kind of the side of Seattle. But there's this big campus, which used to be the World's Fair, which they had in the 1960s. They had the World's Fair there, and you had all these different pavilions. And ever since the World's Fair, they've been trying to figure out what to do with this place. So you used to have the Armory. They turned it into a food court. Lovely. Nice. The monorail, which was showing the transportation of the future. I love the monorail, by the way. I got no problem with the monorail. Now it's a little bit more useful because it hooks into the light rail. It's not really just a tourist attraction. I always like the monorail. It's clean. Hey, there's turnstiles on the monorail. Look at that. You actually have to pay to go on the monorail. Keeps out the riffraff. Isn't that nice? I never see any homeless people on the monorail. Never see that there. I never have to worry about sitting in feces or urine or needles on the monorail. It's always very clean. Seattle Center, though, getting kind of run down. So I remember when I first moved here, so this was 2004 until about, 2007, 2008, they used to have these carnival rides. And the carnival rides, I like them because they're old school carnival rides, like the stuff you see out at the Washington State Fair or whatever. They're those old school rides, but they look like they had their day a long time ago. They had an arcade there, and it looked like it had its day a really long time ago. But I still took my kids there because kids like rides and kids like arcades. And even though it was a tourist trap, I liked it. So we went there, but it had its day.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. I mean, it had had its day.
I was the same. I had a soft spot for it as well.
Okay, so we're on the same, and I wasn't even nostalgic for it. I'm just like, this is cute. We don't really have we have whatever. We have one amusement park here, but we're not going to have much longer.
Not much
This is the
longer, no.
last season we're going to have that sucker.
I think those things are dying out, like a lot. Like I've heard, like Six Flags is having issues.
They're all having issues.
It's like these kids don't care. They don't care anymore.
Well,
they just want to play their video games. Darn it.
They don't want to play their video games. You know what the kids want to do? They want to sit on their phone at home all day. That's all they want to do. So it's hard to get people out of the house now. But also, I'd say the rides are a little bit tamer than when we were kids, where every ride creaking and moaning and you thought you were going to die. And they're so much safer now. What's up with that?
Part of the excitement.
Yes, that is 100%. I agree with you. That is part of the excitement. Why am I talking about the rides at Seattle Center? They decide to get rid of them. And I'm like, you're going to get rid of the rides? Are you going to put new rides? No, we're going to put a glass museum. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, we're going to, over this area that used to be where all the rides are, we're just going to paint a maze on the ground that kids can walk through.
Yes, and the kids will love it.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I think the glass museum is gorgeous. I think the Jooooos Museum is gorgeous. I like it. It's not the kind of thing I'm going to take the kids to on a weekend. No, that is for tourists. That is what it's for. I don't know anybody who goes, oh, I got a membership to the Glass Museum. No. You do have this very nice outdoor jungle gym thing that they put there. It's fun. It's nice. It's great. You know what it's great for? When a field trip comes once a year for a camp to the Seattle Center, and they're killing time before they get back on the bus to go back to camp because the counselors are just like, you know what? There's a playground here. Just play for a while. It doesn't really draw the locals. It draws the tourists, and you've had a few years of not so many tourists. We've seen that. Seattle Center needs a major redo. The Science Center, we've discussed this before. The Science Center is a dump. It is run down. It has no good exhibits anymore. They used to bring in like the Star Wars exhibit, which was awesome. They brought in the Battlestar Galactica thing, which they brought in with the Harry Potter thing. They brought in the King Tut thing. They used to bring in all these awesome exhibits. They don't do that no more.
No, but are they in the middle of redoing it, or am I
Yes,
wrong?
but there's not really a clear plan.
Uh-huh.
They said we're gonna redo it, but in the meantime, let's take these big metal gates down so everybody can go see the dinosaurs, which aren't really dinosaurs. They're these big metal dinosaurs, but they've had their day as well.
Yeah, well, they started piecing them out and selling them.
No. Those are the ones inside. Those are the robo dinosaurs.
Outside.
The ones
I see
outside. Those, where they drain the water and they just look sad most of the year. That. And you know all those science exhibits like Ride the Unicycle over here or whatever that have all seen their day as well? That's now available to the public. Okay. And then today, I see this announcement. Seattle Center's Boeing IMAX Theater won't be showing feature films this summer. So we just had the thing where they have two IMAXs. You have the Boeing IMAX, which is the one inside the big bubble-looking thing that's attached to the Science Center. And then you have the one we go to, which is the smaller one that's up top of that other building of the pavilion of the Science Center. There's two IMAXs. The other one used to show the volcano movies and stuff. Now it shows actual movies. We go there for screenings from time to time.
One is the Packard, I think, and one is, I forget which,
Right, one's Boeing and one's Packard.
Yeah, or something like that, right?
So we usually go to Packard for these movie screenings when they used to be at Boeing, but Boeing's having some issues, not Boeing the company, the Boeing IMAX Theater. And now they just announced they're not showing summer movies. So are you getting a facelift? It's one of the few IMAX movie theaters around here. I don't even think there's that many. I think you got to go to Vancouver for the next closest one or something.
You're talking, and this is where things get confusing, right? Because people are like, oh, no, there's an IMAX at the Thornton Place right there at Northgate.
It's not a real IMAX.
It's not a real IMAX.
Yeah.
IMAX has branded a bunch of of
Big screens.
big screens that
Yes.
but actual IMAX theaters that you remember as a kid. There's only a few of them. There's
Right.
not, especially like on the West Coast, like legit IMAX screens.
And this is one of them, and I want to go see Star Wars. I just assumed the Mandalorian and Grogu would be there this weekend. No,
it is.
It is?
It is. I
It's
think
at
you're
the
confusing
other
it.
one. It's at the other one.
So now I'm confused.
Yeah.
So is it the one that we've been going to that it's not going to be in anymore?
It's not going to be at the one inside the bubble. It's going to be
Really?
at the one up top. The one in the bubble, not doing this stuff for the season. That's the one they just sold off. That's what the Seattle Times is saying. Right?
Okay.
That's what they're saying. So I'm just going off of what I'm reading with them. That's
so
what
now
it is.
So now I need to question which is the better one.
Now, I will say is actually I like the smaller one because you're closer to the screen and it feels more immersive and it's been redone recently. Not the seats, but the rest of the stuff. The equipment's been redone. I like that one. Maybe they're doing a facelift on the other one, but it seems like, once again, just like the Seattle Center, they don't have a plan.
Right.
So they sell off this other one to the Space Needle or whoever it is. Now, here's my issue with redoing Seattle Center. Kevin's looking it up. Now Kevin's going to be like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Hoffman doesn't know true IMAX. I'm going to solve this.
No, I don't. I'm just wondering which one it's going to.
Yakima Herald. Yakima Herald had it. You don't have to go through the Seattle Times paywall.
Well, I'm just going to. I just want to look at the Seattle Center and see how they're listing things.
There you go. You can go check that out. So go see where we're going to go see The Mandalorian and Grogu this weekend because my daughter wanted to go, and I want to check that out. But now you have Seattle Center. They're redoing Memorial Stadium. But there's a group redoing Memorial Stadium. There's an ownership group redoing Memorial Stadium, which means, in theory, they're supposed to be the ones paying for it. Well, now you've got Rob Saka, Seattle City Council member, and Katie Wilson talking about how they want to redo Seattle Center. Now, I'm okay with redoing Seattle Center if it's not taxpayer money for Seattle Center. But what they're proposing is a bond measure. So that means the city can borrow money it doesn't have, it's not going to have, because it's chasing away businesses to redo Seattle Center. Let me ask you this. Why don't you sell Seattle Center to the people who own the Space Needle and operate the Space Needle? They do a good job. They run a profitable business. Why don't you sell it to the people who run the monorail? They do a good job. They run a profitable business. How's Seattle's last investment in entertainment working out? How's that Seattle International Film Festival, Cinematech, Cinematron, Cinema whatever, Cinerama? How's that working out? It's on the verge of closing. And Seattle poured millions of dollars into that investment. Can we not go with private industry instead? Why do our taxpayer money need to redo the tourist attraction? Kevin has the final word on the movie.
Well, I don't. In true fashion, I don't.
Yes.
But I did go to the website, and you are correct. It's only the PACCAR IMAX that is listed anymore.
Exactly. The other one got sold off. It's separate now.
This week, you can go and see Top Gun, the 40th anniversary showing.
Oh, the back-to-back. So they've got both of them.
And
Yes.
Maverick, Top Gun Maverick.
Cool.
And then also Star Wars, The Mandalorian,
Woo-hoo.
and Grogu.
Okay, so it looks like I know where I'm going to be this weekend.
Yeah.
That's where, okay, it sounds like I'm going to do back-to-back days at the IMAX Theater. Question is, my boys are now out of town, so is my daughter going to want to go sit through this? My wife most definitely will not want to sit through any of this. Definitely not back-to-back Top Guns, but I think maybe I could give it.
I think the Top Guns end today.
Oh, man, I'm missing okay, I'll go see the Mandalorian and the Grogu.
It was this week, and I think Grogu and Mandalorian
Are taking over. It's only one theater, so the Mandalorian and Grogu. Okay, I'll go see the Mandalorian. I'll be happy, and I'll go home and watch Top Gun on digital or Laserdisc or whatever we have it on. That's fine. We'll go do that. That's perfectly fine. But they also are requesting that the mayor include appropriations in the upcoming budget to advance projects like the Armory renovation. We're renovating that thing again? What's wrong with the Armory? It looks perfectly fine. They just did it.
They did it not too long ago, but I don't think they like really truly renovated it. It's still set up as it's like still kind of old.
I go in there all the time.
Well,
not as much. I used to go in there all the time.
You used to.
Okay, so don't let the homeless riffraff destroy the armory and put the wear and tear on the armory.
No, it does have that weird. What is that floor that they have where the dance kind of area is? What is that?
The theater-ish area.
Yeah,
thing.
Is that
where
called,
the stage is? I don't know.
It's like the floor that they used to have in the old Boston Celtics. Do you know what that's called?
No.
You don't know. They had you're not a basketball guy, right?
No, not really.
The Celtics were known because they had kind of a unique floor.
So that flooring's in the armory?
Yeah, it's kind of that flooring, and I forget what that term is.
It looks fine. I got no problem with the armory.
Pretty old, man.
I'm not saying it's not old, but it looks nice. It doesn't look run down.
It's fine, but I could see why they'd want to update it.
Okay.
I could see that.
You want to update the stage for performances or something, fine. But once again, why isn't it the Alaska Airlines stage?
Right.
Why isn't it the Starbucks? It's not. Wait. There used to be a Starbucks in that armory, which is why I don't go there anymore.
Yeah.
If only somebody hadn't chased Starbucks out of Seattle, you might be able to say, hey, Starbucks, we want a stage for the children and the Palestinians or whoever else wants to rent it out for a weekend. How about you guys put your name on it? And now it's the Starbucks Armory. Oh, wait, they closed their location there and they're moving out of Seattle. Why do I have to pay for the Armory to be redone? Somebody runs that Jooooos Glass Museum. People run the Space Needle. People run the monorail, all successfully. Why do my tax dollars need to go into this? You guys in Seattle, City Hall, cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. How you doing with the homeless problem? How you doing with the crime problem? How you doing with the hiring more police officers? How you doing with any problem? And you want us to put you in charge of an event center, an event venue? How about no? They're opening, we discussed it yesterday during Good News, they're opening the new thing in Soto for some event thing, so clearly those guys see a profit. Why don't you go to that ownership group and say, hey guys, how would you like the main stage in Seattle Center? You could charge whatever you want for these festivals. How about you take that? Or how about you just slap your name on to advertise your other venue, and then you let the children come and do their things? Just a thought.
The Boston Garden had parquet flooring.
Parquet, I do know what that is.
Yeah,
actually.
okay. So, and I think they've kind of got like sort of a parquet flooring over there, which, I mean, that's just, that just screams old.
Okay.
Like, I'm just saying, like, it's, they don't quite do that kind of flooring so much anymore.
Well, I got to say, it's not noticeable. The place doesn't look aged.
If you head to the bathrooms, it kind of has the look of an administrative building from the 1950s or 60s over there.
Okay, that's fair. I haven't been in the bathrooms. I'm saying the food court area, recently redone. The upstairs area, recently redone. The Children's Museum could use some updates. Not disagreeing with you on that.
I'm not saying, hey, let's spend a bunch of money on this and put these people in charge of doing it, because clearly they're doing a bang-up job with the old crap there. So I'm not saying that.
I know. Let's just turn it into a homeless shelter. Let's just do
there
that.
You go.
It already is.
I do feel like whatever they've been doing to that area, like you said, taking out the rides, taking out the games, putting the glass museum in there, it has been a letdown.
Yes. Everything has been a letdown.
I mean, it's a nice park to walk through. It's fine, you know, like, oh, there's the fountain and all that stuff. And man, the arena there, not the arena, what were you talking about? Mercer
Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Memorial Stadium. Yeah. That definitely needed to be redone.
Right, but they're redoing that, and they got a private group doing it. And my favorite part about it is they didn't make a condition, hey, you want to mess with our stadium, you got to preserve that veteran memorial thing, because this was meant to be Memorial Stadium. So now they're talking about, in this proposal, hey, we need the veteran memorial back. You didn't think to yourselves, hey, hey, guys, we're letting you tear down our stadium and redo it. Yeah. You just got to put a memorial right here. Maybe do that. There's no common sense with these people at all. None whatsoever. And now we have to pay for it. And here's something else. Let's say they do start running it. What do you think the first event is going to be? Pride Festival everywhere. And then the next one, Free Gaza Festival. Oh, wait, this is already what they're doing. You think they're going to bring in anything that anybody actually wants to go to who's not the people you're already drawing in? Probably not.
And they still do Bumbershoot down there.
Yeah, how's that going?
They still do Folk Life down there. I think
Yes.
that's this week, by
Is
the
it?
way.
Is it?
And they still do Bite of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are going well.
Well, yeah,
But-
you
and-
took me to Bite of Seattle a couple of years ago.
And those have been farmed out to private companies.
Mm-hmm.
And Bite of Seattle last year was atrocious.
So I'll tell you something else is that you got another problem. And this I was saving till last. So thank you for the perfect lead-in, Kevin. How many people want to go to downtown Seattle?
Well, there's that.
So you got that on top of it. So it's got to be something really interesting to get me down here. Is it going to be the Star Wars exhibit? Is it going to be King Tut? Is it going to be any of these things? You know, I see all these exhibits on tour in other cities, and I never see them coming here. Is this why we can't have nice things? I get ads all the time for these things that are going through other cities. I'm like, oh my God, is that in Seattle? Is that in Seattle? No, it's in Chicago. No, it's in LA. No, it's in New York. It's never here. Never, ever here anymore. And it used to be here. It always used to be. When I would click the tour schedule for one of those traveling exhibits, there would always be a Seattle stop. They're never coming here anymore.
Yeah, but they built that new exhibition center right there over there. Everything's coming to that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, that's why we spent all the gajillions of dollars on the exhibition center, which now, didn't Microsoft announce that they're not doing their thing here anymore? Didn't all these other events announce that they're not coming back here anymore? Hey, you want to film The Walking Dead? We're good for you. But aside from that, not really any reason to come back. And now they're going to waste our tax dollars on it? No, thank you. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends, including there's a whole bunch of stories involving people in cars doing really dumb things in our area and paying the price with our justice system for it. The Fast and the Incompetent is up next. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. A lot of local people doing really dumb things in cars. It's like the fast and incompetent around here. We'll tell you all those insane stories in just a second. But first, I'm sorry, I was ignoring the text line because the way the computers are set up here, they're all in front of me, but to talk to Kevin, I got to turn this way. So I'm not looking at it. It's a real Avengers situation. How does Nick Fury look at these monitors for Tony Stark situation going on here? Anyway, a whole bunch of you were saying the floors are the parquet. Parquet.
And it was on the tip of my tongue, and I kept thinking in my brain parkour. And I'm like, that's not parkour.
It's not parkour.
Goofy thing that guys do in the movies and stuff. And I was like, but I knew it was something close to that.
So parquet, and here's the interesting thing. Okay, if it's a basketball-style floor, is that what we're talking about here, Kevin? Some basketball-style floor? I know how to solve this for free, except for installation costs. And you're all like, what are you talking about, Ari? Do you know that every basketball team replaces their floors every single year because they get new sponsors for the floors? So somebody sponsors the floor. We have a basketball team with them girls, and they get sponsors, and I know that they actually give away the floors most years because I actually applied to get their floor for a school one year. They do it. They give it to school. So 1 year, you don't give it to a school, and you redo the Armory floor. Look, I just saved money. Oh, my God. What a brilliant idea you just had there, Hoffman. Just do that. Look how easy that is. Get it done in a couple of days, and you're good to go. And then, you know what? You even keep the girls' logo on the floor. And then you're advertising the basketball team that nobody wants to see. You can go do that too. So then you're good. Look at all these things. Man, Hoffman's got such a good idea. El Darthbo says he doesn't want the audience thinking that I did not respond to who the KVI host was, that he believes is in love with Thomas Massie. So he thinks it's Todd Herman who said that. And here's the thing with Todd Herman. He's not on Sundays anymore. He's still got his podcast, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not on here anymore on Sundays.
It's fine. I'll reach out to Todd. We're buddies. I'll reach out to Todd, El Darthbo. We'll have him on the show, and I'll see if we can have a little discussion over Tom Massie. No problem. I mean, after all, Todd Herman was actually the first radio host to have me on air way back when. So I'm more than happy to have Todd on the show. I think I got his cell phone number still. No problem whatsoever. This one here, Just Bob, says the private sector absolutely cannot be involved with reviving the Seattle Center complex because that would imply that a profit motive may be involved. And Moscow of the Duwamish implied private profit is not allowed. That's very good. Okay, the car stories. These are insane. This one from Como News. A Washington man accused of leading state troopers on a high-speed chase in a stolen Corvette has now been charged in connection with a burglary where investigators say the same car was restolen weeks later from a towing company. Duop Tiet Pidor, 21, is charged in Pierce County Superior Court with second-degree burglary, motor vehicle theft, and attempting to elude pursuing police vehicle. Investigators say on January 4th, Washington State Patrol spotted a yellow 2014 Chevy Corvette without license plates traveling eastbound on State Route 410. According to the police report, the driver accelerated after the trooper activated emergency lights and attempted to stop the car. The trooper reported the Corvette sped through traffic, crossed double yellow lines, drove against traffic in southbound lanes while attempting to evade officers. The pursuit ended after the trooper used a pit maneuver near Valley Avenue East, westbound, south State Route 410, forcing the Corvette onto an embankment where it became stuck. He was arrested, taken to Pierce County Jail. He said he purchased the Corvette in Oregon and the vehicle had previously been rented to other people. It was impounded, taken to a towing company. On January 30th, deputies responded to a towing business after employees discovered the Corvette had been stolen overnight from a secured lot. Investigators say that they showed a Tesla dropping off a suspect who ran to the tow yard. And then they say it's this guy, Pidor, again. Now, what's the obvious question you have here, people who live in Washington? Why wasn't he in jail? Why was he out of jail and still able to steal that car again and then get arrested again? Oh, wait, it's Washington where we never prosecute crimes. We just release people. Probably because of his name, he got released. You know what I'm saying? This one here for Port Orchard. Deputies arrested a suspected DUI driver after she crashed into a tree a short time after passing through an active Port Orchard school zone. According to Como News, another driver called 911 to report a car driven by a 25-year-old woman swerving on Southeast Phillips Road. The woman's Mini Cooper reportedly stopped at the school crosswalk, remained stopped for several minutes, even after traffic had cleared. Minutes went by. She later hit a tree. Okay, guys, when they say hit a tree, she drove it into a forest and hit a tree. This isn't like, oh, there's a tree on the side of the road. No, this thing is in a forest. Deputies say they found several alcoholic beverage containers inside her car, and when they asked her to do a breathalyzer test, she refused. I wonder why after driving into a forest with your car. Then there's this one here. Seattle police arrested 2 convicted felons Sunday night. Here, count how many Seattle typical things are here in the story. Seattle police arrested 2 convicted felons Sunday night after officers found them inside a stolen vehicle in South Lake Union with guns, drugs, and suspected stolen property. Wait, hang on. How'd the convicted felons, get the firearms? Oh, those gun control laws ain't working out so well, did they? When officers arrived, they found a 31-year-old woman and a 40-year-old man asleep inside a stolen car with drug paraphernalia in their hands. During the investigation, officers recovered 2 guns, $666 in cash, 666, and 4.6 grams of fentanyl. Methinks somebody's a drug dealer. Just a thought there. Now, all of those crimes, remember, the Democrats don't want to prosecute for. Everything these people are guilty of. They also found outstanding warrants totaling more than $430,000 on these people. Theft, robbery, driving with suspended license, possession of a stolen vehicle, hit and run, and escape from police custody. Wow, we just hit that's not the trifecta. There's got to be some other word for hitting like 10 things all at once. Amazing, incredible job, everybody. Meanwhile, we're all excited that the Department of Justice is coming down on Washington State like a freight train. But when we come back, my friends, the lawyer who originally went after Washington State for the female prisoners being abused by the trans inmates joins us to give us her perspective. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Big news yesterday, my friends. The Department of Justice is riding to the rescue of women in prisons in Washington state. What do they need rescuing from? Well, Washington state itself, because Democrats here decided to put men completely intact, as the terminology is used, which means they have their twig and berries and everything else right there, in cells with them, including men who are guilty of rape, who are in jail for child molestation and beating women and rape, you name it. And some of these women have suffered very, very horribly at their hands. Well, now the Department of Justice says they're taking this on. Joining us now to discuss, Leanne O'Neill, who's the Chief Legal Affairs Officer for America First Policy Institute. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. So you had a lawsuit going against the state for this very thing. Did you have any idea that the Justice Department was going to do this?
You know, based on the priorities that they've expressed and that this issue is something that, Assistant Attorney General Dillon has, said publicly that she's very interested in, and actually had been involved in a lawsuit along these same lines when she was in private practice, long before she was appointed to her position. And obviously it's a huge priority of the president's too. I mean, one of the first EOs that was signed was on this very issue. So, I did hope and expect that they would take up an investigation here.
Gotcha. So have you spoken to them since they started this whole investigation? Because I know I've reached out to their office. They usually take a couple days to get back to me. I assume they're pretty busy over there. I expect to hear back from them probably tomorrow at some point, knowing their usual track record. Have you spoken to them at all?
I have not spoken to them about this.
Okay. What about your client? Have you spoken to your client and told them the good news that, hey, the Justice Department is looking into this?
That we are in the process of relaying that information. It's not as easy as you might hope to communicate with a client who is on the inside, but that is definitely something that we're working on. And I know that all of the women at WCCW are going to be thrilled that the DOJ is taking a look at this.
We're talking with Leanne O'Neill, who's the Chief Legal Affairs Officer for America First Policy Institute. So what does this do for your case? I mean, your case is civil. This one's federal and criminal. So explain the difference for everybody who's not a legal expert out there.
Yeah, the DOJ investigation can theoretically get information more quickly than what a civil lawsuit might be able to do. With civil lawsuits, you have to get into the discovery phase of the suit before you can kind of uncover a lot of factual evidence that might be helpful to the case, in proving the charges that you've brought. With the DOJ's investigation, they're going to have, I think a lot quicker ability to get to the bottom of what's happening in the facility, especially in Washington, it's been made basically impossible to get official documentation about who exactly is there. We know who is there because we have witnesses who, can tell us that. But getting official documentation from the state is not easy to do because they've designed it that way. And so the DOJ's investigation is going to turn out information that they're able to use and make assessments and judgments on probably more quickly than our lawsuit will be able to do.
Now, I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday, right before the news of the Justice Department going after Washington State broke, I put up a post because I got back a public disclosure request, which I think I was waiting years on at this point. I couldn't believe they gave it to me for this year, which means somebody on the inside probably wanted us to see that. And they sent out this public disclosure request for those of you that missed the show yesterday, which shows how much money Washington State has spent on trans surgeries for convicted felons. And it's close to $5 million since 2019. It has skyrocketed exponentially in the last 2 years. And my favorite part, of course, was the over $80,000 spent on laser hair removal treatments, which I'm just like, wow. I mean, if a girl wants to get this for free, just commit some kind of low-level crime, go to jail, get this taken care of. You can even get some other surgeries done while you're in there. It's crazy we're doing this for men who identify as women. Is this something that you guys requested the records on as well?
So I don't believe that that's been part of our records request. I've had several into Washington also, like you, going back years. I thought your timing was impeccable yesterday to drop that nugget of information the very same day the DOJ announces their opening investigation. I mean, that was amazing. I'm with you though. Like the laser hair removal is just really more than I can deal with. I think it's because it's a rather common thing that like everyday people save money for, ask for Christmas, what have you, to have done. And these prisoners are getting it as like a gift. I mean, of course, the actual sex rejecting surgeries are just completely beyond the pale. I don't mean to, suggest anything other than that. But, like you said, if a woman went in there, low level crime, and asked for laser hair removal, I mean, the thing is, I'm not sure that she would get it. I mean, I don't know that that's available to anyone other than a male seeking gender affirming treatments.
Well, what do you mean? You just walk in there and say you're non-binary or gender non-conforming, or pick one of those things. And as long as you identify that way, you get all this stuff taken care of for free. Actually, it's not for free. The Washington State taxpayer is dealing with it. So in the last few minutes, we have with Leanne O'Neill, who's the Chief Legal Affairs Officer for the America First Policy Institute. Just to play devil's advocate for a second here, do you think that the state may be tougher on your case now? Have you heard from the state at all? Because now the Department of Justice is coming after them, and they may say, well, you got a lot of traction. You brought this down on us, so we can't really fight them, but we're going to fight you. Are you concerned about how this may affect your case?
No, I mean, I think that, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Any opportunity there is for the taxpayers, the American public, to learn about what's happening and to have every ounce of authority, scrutiny on this Department of Corrections and on Governor Ferguson's Washington administration, the better. I mean, that is what it's going to take to get constitutional rights restored for these female inmates. And not to mention all of the other constitutional violations that are happening all over Washington State.
Leanne O'Neill, who's the Chief Legal Affairs Officer for the America First Policy Institute. I don't want to say congratulations yet because I don't want to jinx your case, but this is definitely a step in the right direction that the federal government is taking an interest. And as I say all the time, I can't believe that as a conservative, I'm happy when the federal government gets involved. But that's how messed up things are here in Washington. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. We got a whole lot more to discuss as the show continues. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show, my friends. Remember, you have a chance. You have 3 chances today, and here comes number 2 to win tickets to Bingo Loco at the Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. That's right, my friends. It's like bingo, but on steroids. There's DJs, there's comedians, there's confetti, there's dance-offs, there's fantabulous prizes, all kinds of amazing stuff. And now you get a chance to win 2 free tickets right now. All you have to do is text the word I give you to the number I give you for your chance to win. Today's word is winner, as in you could be a winner at bingo at the Snoqualmie Casino. Text the word winner, WINNER, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757 for your chance to win. Remember, you can always buy tickets to Bingo Loco over at snowcasino.com. That's SNO casino.com. Oh, I saw this report from Como News, and I know that Jay Inslee is going to be crying in his cornflakes today. Wildfire smoke is pushing the Seattle-Tacoma region into unfamiliar territory, with the area now ranking among the nation's worst metropolitan areas for short-term particle pollution. The American Lung Association's newly released State of the Air 2026 ranks Seattle-Tacoma as the 8th worst metro area in the United States for daily fine particle pollution, known as PM 2.5, a shift to a region long associated with relatively clean air. Hang on a second. I'm confused. I thought all these taxes on our gas and everything else was supposed to stop climate change, was supposed to stop pollution, was supposed to combat all that stuff. And now you're telling me it's getting worse and worse and worse? Because it turns out when you don't do good forest management, Department of Land Bureaus, I'm looking at you guys, Land and Management, then guess what you get? Massive forest fires. That's what you get, because you have all kinds of stuff on the ground. If you let the logging companies do what they do and protect their products, then guess what? You won't have these issues. Then you won't have these issues. Then guess what? Things will actually be solved. Yeah, guys. So maybe you should let the loggers come back to do what they do with their renewable resource. Also, can I have my gas money back? Just throwing that one out there. Jay, I thought all the things you're doing were supposed to fix all this kind of stuff. Fergie, I thought all the things you were doing were supposed to fix all this kind of stuff. Oh, you mean taxing people to solve other issues ain't going to solve this? Yeah. Shock, shock, shock. So, also, here's something else. We usually have clean air around here, aside from wildfire season, which wasn't a thing a few years ago. Now, unfortunately, we get it every summer. So, yes, more government failure, and they just took your money for the grift. We all know that's what it is. Very busy over on the text line. A lot of you say you want more dumb criminal stories. Oh, we can oblige you. It's Seattle, my friends. I'm sure a dumb criminal is doing something right now, and we'll hear about it tomorrow. You want more dumb criminals? We will make sure that happens. We can make sure that happens. This one here, Forrest Cat, was weighing in on our earlier segment about the Seattle Center. He said, I love going to Bumbershoot in the late 80s and early 90s. Now I wouldn't go anywhere near Seattle Center. You must have vigorous law enforcement and clean sidewalks if you want people to visit. Yeah. By the way, I've noticed something. There's a lot more panhandlers when I get off the freeways these days. Do you think maybe pushing all the homeless people out of the Seattle downtown core may have pushed them closer to the freeways? No, really? Yeah, and every day it's a different one. Robin Lakewood says, going to have to change the Florida man meme to Washington man. Oh, to be fair, half of those stories were about woman, so it's not all Washington man. Some of them are Washington woman. Kelly in Seattle says, I was sent a poll asking if I would vote to allot money for Seattle Center refurbishment. I said no for everything, and my reason was I was taxed too much already. Kelly, I'm so disappointed. I normally get those polls. I didn't get those polls today. Now I'm really sad. That's my entertainment during breaks. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, including more analysis of last night's election results. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free for all your calls, your texts, your thoughts, your stories, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, you won't believe what the World Cup is allowing into the stadium and what they are banning here in Seattle. But before we get to any of that, had a lot of feedback on our interview we did in the last half hour. The interview with the lawyer who is representing the female convict who is being abused allegedly by the trans man that now is the subject of a Department of Justice investigation. Becky in Enumclaw says, I'm glad the federal government is getting involved in these cases regarding the women in prison and the transgender, I'm not going to say women, Becky, but I know what you mean, the man who's put in there with them. Isn't this Bob Ferguson's big moment to have a fight with the feds? He is awful quiet. That's how he operates. When something bad happens, he just shuts up and hope everyone will forget about whatever is going on. Oh, he's just playing dead? Is that what it is? I wonder if he thinks this case is not worth fighting. It's an 80-20 issue. You can't defend this. You cannot defend this. It's going to be crazy if Turd Ferguson actually does that. Can you imagine him having a press conference? We're going to sue the Trump administration. We're going to fight the Trump administration because we believe women should be locked in cells with 6'4" child molester, rapist, murderers. Can you imagine that press conference? How would he even spin that? I mean, you know what we're going to do on the show as soon as he does that? We're just going to parody everything he says into what I just said. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane that we're even having this conversation. Crazy, crazy stuff. Meanwhile, I don't know if you've heard the full results of last night's election. It's something really crazy to me is that the Democrat Party seemed to double down on crazy, but the Republican Party says we've had enough of crazy. The Republican Party is starting to say, okay, if you're not on our side, if you're not voting our way, if you're voting with the Democrats, if you're being backed with the Democrats, then you know what? We just don't want you in the party anymore. That's what it seems to be. But meanwhile, the Democrats, the people who are going through their primaries right now, are beyond crazy. Have you heard about this woman? What's her face? What's her name right here? Maureen Galindo. She wants to turn an ICE detention center into a prison for American Zionists and former ICE officers for human trafficking. She said it will also be a castration processing center for pedophiles, which will probably be most of the Zionists. This is the Democrat running in Texas. This is who they are running in Texas. She's a sex therapist and a housing activist. Oh, seems like she should be here in Seattle. Running in Texas's newly redrawn 35th congressional district and faces Johnny Garcia in a May 26 Democratic primary runoff. So even Democrats are calling her out for this. The New York Times is urging people not to vote for her. On Instagram, she accused Garcia, a former hostage negotiator and public information officer for the sheriff's office, of wanting Jews and Mexicans in warehouses. She also claimed billionaire Zionists control San Antonio and South Texas trafficking networks. In another post, she wrote, "We must end Zionism to protect Jews and Semites and all other victims of the Israel and Epstein network of terror, global terrorism paid for with our American taxpayer money." All right, don't take my word for it. Here's the crazy stuff this lady says in her Instagram posts.
More evidence that my Israeli-backed opponent is actually a Republican, because why, for the second time, am I getting a media request from a billionaire Zionist-owned, for-profit Republican newspaper trying to...
She's talking about the Washington Free Beacon, which is not Zionist. What is she talking about, this lunatic?
But paint me as you hate Jews. Both times my response has been, I think billionaire Zionists and their puppet journalist, I was talking to you, John Levine, are fake Jews who create anti-Semitism, who create the conditions for people to think that it's all Jews, which is wrong, to harm and harvest off the real Jews. Israeli leaders, the state of Israel leaders, are not real Jews, and they want to harm the real Jews because then they can just use that and scapegoat them to get away with whatever they want. I said we must end Zionism to protect the Jews and Semites.
This is a Democrat running down there who has endorsements from other Democrats. This is a Democrat running for office in Texas. How successful do you think she's going to be with that messaging? You think that's going to work? Do you think that's a bold strategy, Cotton? Let's see how it plays out for her. This is crazy. This is crazy. Oh, wait. She had some stuff to say about MAGA, too.
When I say that I want billionaire Zionists in prison, that does not mean I want Jews in internment camps. So why am I getting a whole bunch of death threats and MAGA insults? Which actually makes sense, I realize. Like, MAGA and Jewish Zionists apparently are the exact same people. They talk the exact same way, and that's because MAGA is the developing Christian Zionism. That's how they want to create a religion state in the United States of America, is through MAGA, which that's the goal of Zionism, is to create these white supremacist religion states. So, like, I don't care what religion you are. If you are a Zionist, meaning that you believe that you are just entitled to land, or someone's just entitled to land based off of religious beliefs, and that you'll kill all of the Semites for it, then yeah, I think that you're a danger to humanity and belong in prison, especially if you have the political and economic resources to make that happen. And that's how we will get all of the billionaire Zionists in prison, is through all of the business.
Let me just make sure I got this right. You want to put the Zionists in prison. There was a guy with a funny little mustache had a similar idea to that. Let's just put all the Zionists in prison. Yeah. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for her. It was so bad. It was so bad that even AOC is condemning it. No friend of the Jews, that AOC, but she knows how bad this is. That this Democrat is now going viral for running on this platform. In fact, every Democrat who's somewhat normal is calling it out. Even Representative James Tallarico, who is not a moderate, he says this anti-Semitic rhetoric has no place in our politics. We need leadership in both parties willing to stand up and call out hate whenever it rears its ugly head. Hey, I agree. So why did you guys endorse Graham Plattner for Maine? You know, the guy with the Totenkopf, the SS tattoo on his chest? Why'd you endorse him for office? Why are all the Democrats backing the guy with the Nazi tattoo? I mean, really, guys, at this point, come on, take a little look in the mirror. Oh, you want to condemn anti-Semitism? You want to condemn Zionism? Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Pramila Jayapal, Jamal Bowman, Ayanna Pressley, Cori Bush, Corey Lee. Do any of those names sound familiar to you? But we need people on both sides of the aisle. This is not a both sides issue. Because last night, Republicans had a choice of a few anti-Semitic candidates, and they rejected all of them. Meanwhile, the Democrats are doubling down on their crazies, doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. Some people get really mad when I call out Tom Massie for being an anti-Semite. You want to know what he said last night during his concession speech after he lost?
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Galrein in Tel Aviv.
You didn't lose the Kentucky 4th because of Jews. How many Jews do you think there are in rural Kentucky? Okay, should we do a quick analysis of this for a second? First of all, there's like no Jews in Kentucky 4th. There's not that many of us. We're not everywhere. It'd be nice, but no, there's not that many of us. Number 2, let's talk about the money for a minute. There are some big lies being told on social media. Let me clarify a few of them for you right now. $30 million was spent against Tom Massie. No, $30 million was not spent against Tom Massie. $30 million was spent in the race total. That's from all sides. And actually, Massie outspent his opponent's campaign. The PACs of his opponent outspent Massie's PACs. And when it came down to it, they're pretty close in what they spent. Really what it is Tom Massie has gone against Trump in a district that is all Trump, deep red, pro-Trump, Trump. And he went against Trump. So Trump said, I don't want this guy. Now, Massie, locally, while he's saying all the crazy stuff online about the Jews and taking photo ops with Nazis, literal Nazis, and while he's doing all that, and while he's voting against Republicans and voting against Trump's entire agenda the last 2 years, while he's been doing that, you know what's been happening? What's been happening that whole time? He's losing support, shock. But also locally, his campaign ads are talking about how him and Trump are working together. You don't get to say you're working with Trump when you are literally voting against everything. CNN's pollster Harry Enton did a great job analyzing what actually happened in the district. We all like to think that online is real life. It's not. The people in the district were tired of him because they support President Trump.
The Trump political world descending on Kentucky, trying to unseat Thomas Massie tomorrow in this Republican primary. What are the prediction markets saying? How is this race going?
To put it mildly, I don't think that Donald Trump likes Thomas Massie. Yeah. And if you look at the prediction markets, it looks like they may get their man. Look at this. Chance that Massie is, in fact, the Kentucky 4 GOP nominee. It has been falling considerably over the last 10 days, according to the cash prediction market. Look at this. It was 71% 10 days ago. Look where that number is now. It's 44%. So chances more likely than not, though it is very close, that Massie will, in fact, go down to defeat. But again, we're just going to have to wait and see the votes getting cast and counted because this is quite close. But any time that an incumbent member of Congress goes down, he has done something seriously wrong in the minds of the voters. And in this case, if Massie goes down, it is that he crossed Donald John Trump.
Now, CNN said that yesterday before the results were in. CNN then looked at the results, and it wasn't close at all. It's a 10-point spread. That's a blowout. That is a blowout. It's not because of Israel. It's not because of Zionists, not because of the Jews. It's because his district in Kentucky didn't want him anymore. Here's how much it changed. Here's Harry Enton again.
Wasn't surprised at all because the bottom line is this. Donald Trump is the general of the Republican Party, and the Republican primary voters are his soldiers. And if you look at Thomas Massie, you can see it very clearly. You look in 2020, 2022, 2024, he was getting 75%, upwards of 81% of the primary vote in 2020. And today, he gets less than 50% of the vote. That's the story.
That is incredible because you look at it so consistent time after time after time, and then, wow, look at tonight. Donald Trump.
Exactly. That's why. In fact, Ted Cruz said on Sean Hannity last night exactly why Tom Massie was going bye-bye.
Yeah, look, Sean, that's clearly right. If you vote no 100% of the time, that's a problem. If you vote with the Democrats almost 100% of the time, that's a problem. You know, we've got exceptionally slim majorities in the House and Senate. I will say in the past year, with President Trump in the White House, with the Republican Senate, with the Republican House, we have accomplished more in the past year than in any year since you and I have been alive. And I have no time for people that just say, no, I don't want to do anything. The stakes are too high. We're not screwing around. This is not a game. If you want to just criticize everything, go write an op-ed online. Go write a blog online. But if you're going to take a congressional seat, if you're going to have a vote, particularly if we had a 250-vote majority in the House, fine, you could vote no, it doesn't matter. But with the excruciatingly narrow vote, we can't mess around with this. We've got to deliver real results. And the message that I had to my colleagues over and over again, the message, look, I've spent a decade as President Trump's strongest ally in the Senate. And I'm focused on working with the president to deliver real results. And if you're not focused on that, that's a real problem.
Let's compare Tom Massie to Rand Paul. Tom Massie has no legislation with his name on it. Rand Paul, who thinks similar to Tom Massie with regards to government spending, with regards to wars, with regard to overreach, with regard to all that stuff. Rand Paul has actually accomplished a few things in the Senate. Tom Massie has his name on nothing. He's been there for 12 years. 12 years, gotten absolutely nothing. Excuse me, he's been there since 2012. It's longer than that. It's been 14 years. Gotten absolutely nothing done. If you want to push your agenda, you have to work with people. You have to make deals with people. Rand Paul doesn't vote no on everything. Rand Paul votes no on big government spending, on war stuff, and government overreach. He does vote yes on keeping the water running and things of that nature that are required. He votes yes on non-binding resolutions condemning awful things. Tom Massie won't even do that when people or Jews are killed in Washington, D.C. He won't even do that. But worse than that, what does Tom Massie spend his time doing? Spewing conspiracy theories with the brain rot online from Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and everybody and every Democrat about the Epstein files. Well, he had a chance to actually go look at them with the FBI, with Don Bongino, and he didn't take it. Here's what Bongino said in his show this week.
However, when I got up there in that position, I could not believe what a fraud this guy was. I mean, like an epic level fraud. Whatever you think of this guy, I'm telling you, I have no dog in the fight. I supported him. He is an absolute fraud. Fraud. He decided to do some money bomb thing and just completely BSing people about my record there, just lying to your face. I tried multiple times to get this guy to come over to give him a briefing on a case he kept bloviating about on Twitter, causing a serious problem, by the way. And I thought he believed in due process. He's supposedly a libertarian, wants to try a case on X. And he didn't do it. I was there from March until January of this year. You know how many times he came over to visit and ask about these cases despite multiple offers, cases he kept bloviating about, where we could have actually told him? Zero. And there's nothing he's going to tell you. All of his BS responses, his fake community notes, it's all a distraction from the fact that he doesn't want to admit that he was offered a detailed briefing within certain parameters on these matters he's bloviating about on X in order to attack President Trump and others and due process, could have cleared it up for him right away, and he just didn't want to do it because he preferred to be stupid.
Or he prefers to get the clickbait. Last night, when I was posting these election results, even before I started doing my commentary on Tom Massie, the bots were out. How do I know they're bots? These are accounts with not real pictures, with not real names, which are just posting anti-Semitic stuff, pro-Tom Massie stuff, you name it. And anytime I post anything with Tom Massie's name in it, it's like the algorithm says, is this good, is this bad? And then it comments accordingly. Post after post after post happening on social media. The bots are really mad at me, but you know what we figured out? Last night, bots don't translate to voters. Tucker Carlson's insanity doesn't translate to actual votes. Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes doesn't turn into actual votes. Tom Massie made a calculation. When President Trump called him out a year and a half ago for being ineffective and being a roadblock to everything the Republicans are trying to do, he made a calculation. Do I want to be friends with President Trump, or do I want to be in the podcast first crowd? And he went for the Joe Kent decision. He went for, well, if I blame the Jews, look how many clicks I'll get, and I can get a podcast, or I can get a show, or I can get speaking gigs, or whatever the case may be. I've seen Joe Kent advertise for speaking gigs since that thing happened, which is crazy to me, by the way. This is why he lost. It's not because of Israel. It's because he repeatedly lied that a country the size of New Jersey controls the greatest president of the greatest country in the history of the world. Believing that online Tucker Carlson brain rot bots translated into votes cost him the election. I am sure that any day now we're going to hear he's going on Tucker Carlson show or Candace Owens show, then Megyn Kelly, then Nick Fuentes, and blame the Jews for the fact that he lost. When really it came down to, he went head-to-head with President Trump and he lost. He lost. That's what it was about. He ran a bad campaign in a deep red district, thinking online would translate into votes or thinking it would turn into some kind of podcast crowd. And he lost. And he lost badly. The Republicans are kicking their anti-Semites out of the party. The Democrats are doubling down on their crazies. And this is the future of the Democrat Party. The Republican Party is saying no to hate. The Democrats have these signs all the time that say no to hate, and then they spew the most hateful things ever. Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, all these Looney Tunes of the left and the woke right are the ones backing Tom Massie. Is that who you really want in the party? Seems like the Republicans in the Kentucky 4th said no last night. No more of this insanity. Unfortunately, here in Washington, we're stuck with this craziness. Katie Wilson says we are ready for the World Cup. I don't know, my friends. Looking more and more every day like the third World Cup. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show's final hour free-for-all. You want to be part of the insanity, give us a call or a text over at the KVI studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. You guys are having a lot of fun with that Democrat candidate in Texas. What's her face? Maureen Galindo. Okay, some of you say she sounds like Miss Teen South Carolina. We're going to do a little comparison right here. Hang on. Let's play her. This is the gal in Texas.
More evidence that my Israeli-backed opponent is actually a Republican, because why for the second time am I getting a media request from a billionaire Zionist-owned for-profit Republican newspaper?
Okay, that's the Democrat anti-Semite lunatic down in Texas. Here's Miss Teen South Carolina.
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Oh, that was good.
Sounds pretty similar to me.
Did she move? I mean, what year was that? Hang on. It's got on the clip here somewhere. This predates me. 2007. That's 2000. Did she move to Texas in the last 19 years? Because that's, oh my God, that was 19 years ago. Did she move to Texas? Because it's kind of what it sounded like to me. You be the judge. Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Jeff in Kent says the Democrat candidate from Texas sounds like the drunk girl at the party you don't want to talk to from SNL. This one here from Michelle. She says, I don't understand these adult women, and she's putting adult with air quotes, politicians, who still speak in their baby girl voice. AOC does the same thing. Are they trying to relate to other teen girls and or seduce male voters? Well, actually, yes. That's exactly what they're doing. I know what women think of the baby girl voice, but how do men interpret the baby girl voice? Well, I think you sound stupid because I just made fun of her. But there's a lot of people out there, and this is really, really sad, Michelle. There are a lot of guys out there who are really, really lonely. And they'll just vote for the girl they think is pretty. They really, here, let me put this out there. It's not just a guy thing. It's a girl thing, too. Let me put this out there. So if you've got Gavin Newsom running for president, he has a quality. And you know what that quality is? Man, he's got a good head of hair. That's a good-looking man, and women will go, I don't care that he's a lizard man or a Democrat or that he flushed California down the toilet. He's a good-looking guy. Let's vote for him. They did it with Bill Clinton.
Isn't there that stupid looks maxer guy out there named like Claviclure or whatever his name is?
Oh, no, he's in big trouble right now. That guy's in big trouble.
Of course he is. Of course he is. But he did say something to the effect of, if you run old Gavin Newsom up against JD, he was like, he will win because he has a better jawline.
And they're not wrong about that. They're really not wrong about that stuff. I mean, what's the old line? If there's a TV in every house in the 1930s, this country does not elect a president in a wheelchair, right? Why did JFK win that election? It's not like he had better policies, right? It was TV. And look how good he looks, and Jackie O, and the family, and the baby, and the...
And old Nixon there's balding and sweating.
Exactly.
And,
he don't look so good. What did they say about Marco Rubio when he delivered that response to the State of the Union years and years and years ago?
Yeah, he got the creamy mouth, and then
he had
sweating
and all.
He had to go off camera for a second to get some water.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are things that play in American media. That's what it is. So how did Katie Wilson win? Oh, did I just say that out loud? Oh, no. Did I do that? Well, basically, you know how many people stayed home during that election? Everybody said, screw it. Let the socialists win. Bruce Harrell sucks. Bruce Harrell sucks. She sucks. Let the asteroid get everybody. Just let the asteroid come in and take Seattle. So Katie Wilson put up this post yesterday saying, hang on, I want to get to the right subject. We're 27 days from FIFA, and Seattle is ready. Okay, hang on. Why does she think we're ready? Here we go. Every city branch has been working tirelessly for months on how to keep people safe, make sure people are moving, and ensure the events go as planned. Some major changes. Okay. Did we get more police officers, or maybe we dealt with the homeless, or cleaned up the city? Maybe any of that? Yes? No? Oh, no. Okay. In Pioneer Square and the nearby stadiums, the city has created a dedicated pedestrian zone on match days. Oh, have you seen this thing, by the way? Don't drive anywhere near that section of town. It's this massive radius where everything is closed. I'm worried about how I'm going to get to the studio every day. It's not great. Look at the map, by the way. Pedestrian zone is massive. Do not go anywhere near the stadiums that day with a car. Just do not do it. Okay, the Seattle Department of Transportation is working with our regional partners to keep our city moving. Construction across the city is pausing too. So you're pausing the construction, which means it's unfinished, which means some places are still going to have roads blocked when you have this map. Not finished. These projects aren't finished. They're paused. Alert Seattle will be there to keep you informed every step of the way. Sign up here or text Seattle to 67283. So you want us to text? Text Seattle? How about no? Okay. And the city of Seattle's official FIFA page is up and running, which, by the way, you guys have grammatical mistakes in this sentence and periods in wrong places. So it's got safety tips, transportation information, watch party planning. Okay, so what'd you do? Did you take care of the homeless? Did you get rid of the riffraff? Did you do it? How about no? You didn't do any of that. Did you hire more police officers? I actually have more confidence in the feds in this case. Why? This one here, Washington's top military commander is sounding the alarm once again about the threat of drone activity during the World Cup in Seattle. Major General Jet Welsh, commander of the Washington National Guard, says risk remains high, even with federal investment of $20 million. The feds are worried about it. The feds are worried about it. So we're not ready for the World Cup at all. This is potentially a massive terror target, likely a huge human trafficking opportunity. And are we ready? Well, we have a website. Woo! Got a website. We got a text line. Woo! Got a text line. Oh, yeah, we're ready for it. Tell me, guys, do you believe Mayor Fivehead that we're ready for the World Cup? You give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Mike says, FIFA readiness, I'll make the popcorn. Yeah, that's exactly. Let's just watch what's going to happen. Craig in Puyallup says he lost brain cells listening to the Democrat from Texas. Yes, I agree. John in Lakewood says Seattle Mayor the Brow lies. Seattle's not ready for the Turd World Cup. Hey, the people are saying it. Here, I got a better question for you. Is anybody in the audience planning on going to the World Cup? I'm just kind of curious about that. I kind of want to go now and just to watch the chaos unfold. Is there a game on a Sunday where I could just go down there with a video camera?
The only game that I know of that everyone's sort of talking about is U.S. versus Australia, which is going to be here.
You don't want to go to Iran versus Egypt on
that
Pride
one, of
Day?
course. But and I don't know what tickets are going for that, but it's like $1,000 for a ticket for U.S. versus Australia.
Yeah, that's a how
so
about
you
no?
might be able to get a discount on that hate versus hate one or whatever that is.
Great. I want to go to the Iran versus Egypt, and I want to have
get a deal on that.
I want to wrap myself. I got this flag that's half the U.S. flag and half the Israeli flag, and I want to go in the stadium wearing that and just see what happens. I think that'll go over huge, right?
Sounds like a great idea.
Is it approved by FIFA? They might take it away from me. They'll allow the Antifa flags in the stadium, but they'll take this one away from me. By the way, if you are going to any of these matches and you see the Antifa flag in the stadium, because Antifa loves soccer, make sure you send me a picture of that Antifa flag. You text it on over, you email it over to me, ari@kvi.com. That's ari@kvi.com. Up next, my friends, are we about to become a sanctuary city for trans folks?
Wait, before you go, if you apparently the Game Time app.
Yes.
You've got your Belgium versus Egypt you can get for $406.
Ooh, discount.
We've got Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I don't know where this one is taking. Well, that's Lumen. $198.
Because who wants to see Bosnia go head-to-head with Herzegovina?
Yeah, $198. Oh, yeah, so that's a pretty good deal there. So, yeah,
what's Egypt versus Iran?
Let me see here.
I want to know. Egypt.
Okay, that's $226. $226.
I think it's worth the $226.
Yeah.
Social media content. Yeah. Content's content, right?
There you go.
Content's content. Wait, what day is that on? Is that a Sunday? Is that a Saturday? What is that? What are we looking at here?
March.
May.
Not March. So what am I talking about? 6/26.
June 26th is the big game?
Yeah.
It's a Friday. No, wait, yes. No, that's June. Hang on. Let me go. What'd you say it was?
6/26.
That's June 26th. Friday.
You got it.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'll be out of the I'll be in Philly at that
means
time.
They don't want the Jews to go.
That's right.
How do we keep the Jews away from the game? Let's schedule it on the Sabbath. Let's do that. Is that a 7:00 start time or something like that? I guarantee you it is.
But I'm sure it is.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, including, is Seattle going to become a sanctuary city for trans folks? That's what some activists claim. We'll give you all the crazy details when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show, my friends. Now is your chance, your last chance for today, to win tickets to Bingo Loco at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Bingo Loco is an interactive stage show which takes the concept of bingo and switches it on its head by turning it into an immersive party. The show features hilarious comedians that will have you on the floor laughing, DJs playing the best of 90s and 2000s music, incredible prizes ranging from international holidays to musical instruments, mountains of confetti showers, on-stage dance-off, immersive light shows, rave rounds that has everyone dancing, and a lot more madness you just can't predict, all jammed in between 3 games of Name That Song Bingo. We can guarantee you've never been to an event like this before. Tickets and info are on sale at snowcasino.com. That's SNO casino.com. But if you want your chance to win 2 tickets to the Bingo Loco at the Snoqualmie Casino, just text the word WINNER, WINNER, that's WINNER, WINNER, to 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go to the KVI studio line. Take a call from Gordon in Rainier Beach. Gordon, what's going on?
Hi there. Everybody's talking about the prices of petroleum in this country. Well, all the petroleum that's coming out of Alaska is heading to the Far East.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of oil.
Well, here's the thing. We don't
of oil.
have a problem here. The problem is when you have a world market, which oil is, and it's based on a world market. When you have that problem and something disrupts the world market, then you start having, we don't have a shortage of oil here. We don't have a problem getting our oil here. It disrupted a global market. For example, we could just go take Venezuela. No, but we are exporting oil. We are telling countries to come here and get it. This is the problem with a global market, but also it's the kind of thing that if you ramp up too much production, then you have to cut it later on. It's a very fine balance. Gordon, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Saw this press release, and I have some questions. On Saturday, May 23rd, Seattle-based transgender organization Mantis, sounds scary, mutual aid network for trans and intersex individuals in Seattle, along with transgender supporting organizations GEM, the Gender Equity Movement, oh, what gems they are, and Moto Hooligan Community Support Squad. Moto Hooligan are the Antifa ones, the transgender Antifa folks who train with guns. Well, it sounds like mostly peaceful riot. Are rallying to demand Mayor Wilson declare a civil emergency regarding the current and incoming transgender refugee crisis. Is there a transgender refugee crisis I'm unaware of? Are we seeing a lot more transgender people around here? I just see the same amount as always. You can tell by the hair, usually. I see the same amount as always. But we have a refugee crisis? Are we seeing them out on the street? Did I miss something? Am I missing something here? The streets are still as empty as they usually are. As the national political climate intensifies, new legislation and federal actions targeting What's targeting transgender people? Really, just explain it to me. Have led to tens of thousands of refugees fleeing to see where? Where are there tens of thousands of trans refugees? Did I miss something? Now, the crazy thing is they have this demand for the city of Seattle to secure long-term viability of these services for trans people. Well, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson actually gave in to these lunatics. She wrote a letter to the Seattle LGBTQ Commission. Thank you for uplifting the needs of the 2S LGBTQIA+. You know, there's not that many letters that aren't included anymore. Community members who are newly arriving in our region. I want to start by affirming my full support for the 2SL LGBTQIA+ communities, particularly transgender, gender nonconforming individuals. Oh, they have a new abbreviation. TGNCS. I just see that and I think TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's what I think. And sharing my commitment to working in partnership with you to ensure Seattle is a place of safety, dignity, inclusion for the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. She's allocating resources for this refugee crisis that doesn't exist? What are you talking about? What are we talking about here? What resources? We don't have any. You have a budget deficit. So you're going to allocate resources we don't have for a non-existent problem. Oh, Okay, that just kind of worked itself out naturally then, I guess. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news headlines put a smile on your face heading into your evening commute. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Only good news to wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And I called this. I literally called it when it happened, and now it's actually happening. According to Deadline, Universal Pictures and Michael Bay are teaming up to tell the heroic true story behind the recent rescue mission to save 2 downed pilots behind enemy lines in Iran. I literally said it would be Michael Bay. Let's do it like the 13 Hours in Benghazi. Let's do it. I literally said this would be the way to do it. Sources tell Deadline Bay is developing an upcoming feature film chronicling the extraordinary heroism of the 2 U.S. warfighters rescued after their F-15E Strike Eagle was down during Operation Epic Fury in Iran. The film will be based on the upcoming book by Mitchell Jooooos, which will be published by HarperCollins in 2027. Okay, can we work this out for a second? The book isn't even out yet, but already they've secured the film rights for the... Man, I've been doing life wrong. I should have just said, I'm writing a book about this, sold it to Michael Bay, then I could have gotten a cameo. Hey, if Clint Eastwood was directing the sucker, I could have pretended to be one of the pilots or something, you know?
Well, I'm glad Michael Bay is doing it because his movies are so realistic.
Yes.
And, I mean, he just nails real life. So I'm sure that this will not be over the top and glorified in any way.
I will say, have you seen the 13 Hours in Benghazi, that movie? Have you seen that one?
I don't think I did.
So I will say, that one, yes, it's Bayhem. It is 100% Bayhem. But apparently that's what it was actually like. So that's what the guys who survived the thing say. They say, yeah, the movie's pretty accurate. I mean, there's a few little things here and there, but they said it's pretty accurate. So that's why I'm actually kind of excited. It's Michael Bay. I don't think a Transformer is going to come down from the sky or anything like that, or an Xbox is going to turn into a Transformer or whatever other craziness. In early 2026, a month after Operation Epic Fury began, the U.S. military launched a massive successful rescue operation in the Zagros Mountains of Iran after an F-15 Strike Eagle was shot down during Operation Epic Fury. The daring extraction successfully rescued both the pilot as well as the weapons system officer from hostile forces behind enemy lines. I got an idea. I think this movie's already been made. Is it just called Top Gun Maverick? Oh, wait, nobody was actually rescued. I mean, that's just, those guys got themselves out of there. They just were able to steal an F-14, but we blew up all the F-14. So, see, that was the problem with the Top Gun Maverick movie. They blew up the runways, not the actual planes. You wouldn't have had to worry about the 5th generation fighters if you'd taken them out beforehand. See? The film will reunite Bay with writer Scott Gardenauer and producer Edwin Stuff, who all collaborated on 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. Throughout his illustrious career, I like that, does this. Bay, we're going to discuss his illustrious career. Here we go. Bay has spent nearly 3 decades collaborating with the U.S. military and law enforcement on films including The Rock, yeah, Bad Boys, yeah, and Armageddon. Most notably, the titles include Pearl Harbor.
Very realistic movies.
Very realistic.
That's the first thing I think of is like how down to earth and realistic they are.
Yeah, especially Armageddon, which isn't even on Earth. Definitely down to earth, that one. Most notably with titles including Pearl Harbor, Transformers. Yes, Transformers. Very realistic and down to earth, that movie. Military leadership provided immense logistical support, equipment, and personnel to ensure accurate portrayals of the heroic members of the U.S. Armed Forces. You know, the military pulled its support from Independence Day when they said they were talking about Area 51. They were going to support it more, but then they said, you're doing Area 51? Nah. So, anywho, I'm looking forward to this. He said, quote, I've had an amazing partnership over my 30-year career working with the Department of War. They weren't the Department of War back then. And amazing U.S. military members. In my film, 13 Hours, no rescue force answered the call for help. This film is about everyone who answered the call. One of the most complex, intricate, and high-stakes operations in recent history. It celebrates the true heroism and unwavering dedication of our service members. Doesn't he own a stake in the Kraken or something? I wonder if we reach out to the Kraken to get him on the show.
No, that's Bruckheimer. That's
it's
the
Bruckheimer, producer. It's Bruckheimer.
I
think you're right. It's Bruckheimer, not Bay. Yeah. Anywho, I'm excited for this. I will watch the you-know-what out of this movie. I really will, because I love this kind of stuff. They also say that Jooooos is a professor of communications at Boston University. He authored the book 13 Hours, the inside account of what really happened in Benghazi. I didn't even know the book existed.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. So he got him back. He said, "Hey, that worked out so well.
Exactly.
Hey,
just write
Just
this.
start writing this, and then we'll
movie this.
Yeah.
We'll movie this sucker."
Yep.
By the way, didn't know there was a book. Now I kind of want to read the book. Well, there you go. Now I got something to order on Amazon after the show. That's what I'm going to be doing today. Okay. Yep, and after the show today, I'm also heading out to the cemetery to start putting out the flags for Memorial Day with all the kids in town. We're going to go put those out for the veterans. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. Make sure we have all the details there for you as well. Also, I've got an inside track on some stuff regarding the income tax. We're going to have those stories for you tomorrow, and also some interviews regarding the repeal of the income tax. It's going to be a jam-packed show tomorrow. I promise you that. Plus, we're also going to be giving away more fantabulous prizes. But that's going to about wrap it up for us today, my friends. Fear not, we'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories and more exciting guests and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.